All right, so moving on. This looks like where I left off. So we got Laurie taking a dual enrollment statistics class and forgot to go to class Friday. He missed a quiz, received a 0. Luckily, his kindly old statistics professor will drop his lowest grade. He's had 10 quizzes, and the average of his grades with the 0 is 15.3. What will his average be when the professor drops the 0? So with 10, the average is 15.3. All right, so what this means is he has 10 times 15.3 total points. So 153 total points. Now, since we're going to drop the 0, we divide by 9. Not sure why this is an Algebra 2 test, but whatever. I guess they're seeing if you can think, which is an issue for a great many people. A lot of people can't do something unless they're told what to do. 17. All right. 25 is a good question. If the sum of 3 consecutive integers is s, what is their product? First off, what's a consecutive integer? Those are numbers that differ by 1. And I know that the sum of 3 things is s. So if I add something, I add something, I add something, I get s. All right. Now the way this would work, and it might seem kind of funny, since they're consecutive, think about the difference from the middle being take away 1 and adding 1. Now here's the other thing. They add to s. The only way that could happen is if they were all thirds. That's the only way it can happen, is if they're all thirds. So that's the deal. That's what I'm working with. And I just don't know of any other way to explain that. But after that, it's a pretty simple problem. It's s minus 1 over 3. I'm going to put this guy right next to it. S plus 1 over 3, and then s over 3. And if you do this, if I'm taking, you probably recognize this as the a squared minus b squared pattern. You should. But that's s squared minus 1. And we still have an s. And 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So s squared minus s over 27. The Mossy Creek Bottling Company produces cans of fresh cola drink, the volumes which vary normally with a mean of 12 ounces and a standard deviation of a half ounce. Approximately what proportion of cans of fresh cola drink contain between 11 and 12 and a half ounces? Now, I haven't talked about the bell curve yet with y'all. It's a pretty cool little curve. It's broken into several areas here. These are each 34% of the curve. 13.5. 2.35%. And the tails are tiny. Give me just a minute, I'm about to show it. I don't even think we need them, so I'm not going to worry about them. I think they're like 0.15. Yeah, they're each 0.15. Anyways, we have a mean here of 12, and a standard deviation of half an ounce. So this would be 12.5, 11.5. Working backwards, that'd be at 11. And working forwards, that'd be at 13. Now, I care only about the stuff that's between 11 and 12 and a half. That's all I care about. So I'm going to highlight all of these numbers here. Hopefully by the time you guys go to this challenge exam, I'll have talked about the bell curve, because it's not a hard thing to do. But anyways, I'll have 68, I'll have 34 plus 34 plus 13.5% that's been highlighted, which is going to be what, 68, 81 and a half, if I do the addition. And that's how you do 26. All right, moving forward to 27. Oh, there is a way to do this in a calculator too. It won't, the calculator will be a little more accurate than these answer choices. Oh, where is that at? Under vars? No, under vars. Second vars. Is it normal or inverse? Let's do inverse norm. No, not inverse norm. Second vars. Must be normal probability distribution formula. No. Give me a second. Second vars. Normal cumulative. Yeah, there we go. The lower bound on this one was 11. The upper boundary was 12.5. The mean was 12. The standard deviation was 0.5. And here we go. 0.819. So there you go. Which of the following is equivalent to 1 over? Yeah, obviously I'll do this one by hand too, because it's not a hard concept. You got 1 over root 3 minus a root of 2. We have that little decimal 3.14. Don't be that kid. Don't be the kid who picks A. Obviously, it's not C. The idea here is to make these things not look like radicals. So what's root 3? And this should be the answer. Maybe not. Yeah, this is the answer. I'd look at it quickly in my head. That's the answer. That's the answer. The conjugate is a very useful tool in mathematics. If you ever take like a calc class or whatever, pre-calc, you'll understand why we like it so much. But the idea is we don't like these radicals in the bottom, and a technique to get rid of these radicals in the denominator is to multiply numerator and denominator by its conjugate. Now, this is where root 3 plus 2 came. You use the distributive property, we'll get root 3 plus root 2 up top. Down low, when you use the conjugate, the only thing that matters is first and last. Root 3 times root 3 is 3, minus because there's a minus. Root 2 times root 2 is 2, and you can see why that's the answer. All right, what do we have going on next? Suppose one of the zeros of f of x is 2 plus I. All right, so its conjugate is 2 minus I. So I'm looking for anything that has 2 plus I and 2 minus I. And that saved me from doing all that. So here's what's cool. I'm just going to cheat, see what my real zeros are. And there's lots of ways of doing that. You could plug numbers in, whatever, but I'm just a big fan of looking at graphs, to be honest with you. The author of this question probably wants you to do synthetic division twice and then factor, because, you know, I took you to a math contest. You should know how to do these things, and that's the truth. You should know how to do these things. But it's also a 40-question test that you're supposed to complete in 80 minutes. and you just don't have time. So maybe it's also, does this kid actually understand some things? Do they know that zeros are where you cross the x-axis? Do they? Do they know this? So normally I'd put a 0 on y2, but I have a hunch that these are nice whole numbers. There's the only 0. It's a 2. It's got to be choice D. And again, there's my only 0. It happens twice. It has a multiplicity of 2. That's my only 0. All right, what is the solution set of the inequality? This one I'll do with graphing. Rational expressions were removed from Algebra 2 standards this year, so I didn't teach them. The dual enrollment teacher's a little worried about that, because this is, even in dual enrollment, rational expressions are traditionally one of the hardest things she has to teach, because they're kind of rough. Anyways, I'm not going to worry about the symbolism or anything. I'm just going to y1, y2 the thing. Look at old Zoom 6. And I'll talk about how to interpret the results. I might want to adjust my window. I think I am going to adjust my window. Let me look out to the right. I don't think it happens, but it's possible this thing crosses y=1 as it moves right. I'm pretty sure it's a flatline event. Looks like a flatline event to me. So nothing too special about it. Let me go back to Zoom 6. So you see this number right here? If x was 2, nothing would happen. You'd be dividing by 0. What we have right there is we have a vertical asymptote at x=2. Well, that's kind of the easy thing to get down on your head on these, is that vertical asymptote. Vertical asymptotes are the lines you can't cross, period. You can cross a horizontal, but you can't cross a vertical. Right there. Now, as far as interpretation of what it's asking, since you guys are so used to working with these color calculators, it is literally asking, where is blue below or touching red? That's happening so long as we are left of positive 2. And there is equality, all right? But there's also an asymptote. Normally when you see equality, you think about that asymptote, or you think about a bracket. But there's an asymptote in this one. X never gets a chance to be 2 because you have a vertical asymptote and they don't get to be crossed. Choice B is a really good distractor. It would be picked by so many children, but it's just not right. All right, if log base 2 of A equals M and log base 4 of B equals N, what is the value of log base 8 of A over twice B? Well, isn't that interesting? Ain't that interesting? So I guess I need to take my little equations and I need to solve them for A and B or whatever. Let's start with this one, log base 2 of A, that's equal to M. This will be equivalent to 2 to the M equal to A. And I have log base 4. I'm taking you, this is like an easy problem for you. And 4 to the n is equal to B. So now I can actually answer the question. I have log, let me write this out. It's hard for me to type fractions on this software. Everywhere I see an A, I'm 2 to the m. Everywhere I see a B, I'm 4n. So I get log base 8 of A, which is 2 to the m. And it's sitting pretty over twice 4 to the n. All right. Now what can I do with that? I can break apart division, can't I? I have log base 8 of 2 to the m minus log base 8 of 2. That's just horrible looking. 2 minus log base 8 of 4 to the n. Exponents out front. M log base 8 of 2 minus log base 8 of 2 minus 4 log base 8 of 4. Now, I know this is going to be rough for some kids, and some of these are pretty easy to do by hand. Log base 8 of 2 is going to be a third. It's saying what power of 8 creates 2. But anyways, don't let that bother you. I mean, you can just do your change of base technique. ln2 divided by ln8. There's your third. Now, how about this one? Or maybe I should have put that 4 back. I don't know. But that is ln4 over ln8, which is 2/3. And then we have the times the 4. Anyways, let's see what we have here. We know that log base 8 of 2 is a third, so we have m times 1/3 minus a third minus 4. And I'm missing a number here, aren't I? Oh, that wasn't a 4, that was an m. It's supposed to be a 9. Minus n log base 8 of 4. So minus n times 2/3. You'll notice that doesn't really look like anything. What's happened here is a clearing of the fraction. And, or has it? Oh, no, they just put everything over a 3. Nope, not that one. It's that one. Look at it like this. M over 3 minus 1 over 3 minus 2n over 3. Maybe you can see it. You just put it all over the same 3, which is how that works. Oh man, we were doing this right now. Geometric sequence has the first term a sub 1 equals 1, fourth term a sub 4 is 4. What is the sum of the first 6 terms of the sequence? There's lots and lots of ways of doing this one, but since it's geometric, we probably start with this. The nth term is a sub 1 times r to the n minus 1. And I know a sub 4 is 4. It must be equal to the first term, which is 1, times the ratio. And if I'm at 4, n is 4 cubed. So r is simply the cubic root of 4. All right. Now, the easiest way to do this is probably just to write it out. 1 times the cubic root of 4 is going to be a cubic root of 4. The second term, which isn't given, and the fourth term, which is 4. Fifth term is going to be 4 cubic roots of 4. And the next term is going to be 4 cubic roots of 4 squared, which is 16. This one is going to be the cubic root of 4 squared. Then you add them all together. 1 and 4 makes 5. You see that? That makes 5. Here we have, here we have a cubic root of 16, and here we have 4 more cubic roots of 16. 1 and 4 makes 5. And we see the same thing here and here. They add up to the middle. So that's how 31 came to be. 32, the points A equals, these are trig ratios. Root 3 over 2, a half, and B is negative root 2 over 2. Both lie in the circle whose equation is x squared plus y squared equals 1. What is the length of the longer of the two arcs of the circle having A and B as endpoints? Interesting. What's the best way to explain this? That's the real question. Here's another issue, is trigonometry was removed from your standards this year, so this means nothing to you. It really does. Doesn't mean a thing. Let's look at these real quick. Maybe individually. To get to point A, you go right root 3 and up a half. Now, you don't actually need the, boy, I'm out of it. You don't actually need to know a whole lot, but you can tell me in what is called this, maybe something like angle theta. The tangent of theta is a half over root 3 over 2. We could clean that up all we want, so okay, but we're not going to worry about it. Put myself in degree mode here for y'all. It'll make more sense to you. But the arc tangent of that should end up being 30 degrees. Like I said, I'm exhausted, so who knows today? Yeah, it's 30 degrees. All right, so here's what we found so far. On this circle, to get to point A, 30 degrees happened. All right, now let's talk about the other ratio they gave us. The other ratio has an x-coordinate of negative root 2 over 2. So we fall back negative root 2 over 2, and we rise root 2 over 2. We'll call that like theta prime. Theta prime, the tangent of theta prime is going to be opposite over adjacent, root 2 over 2 divided by negative root 2 over 2, which is going to be negative 1. So theta prime is the arc tangent. Boy, I just cannot write this morning. Theta prime is the arc tangent of negative 1. Which should be 100 and L. Oh yeah, we have this issue. Oh man. I really wish y'all knew trig. Negative 45 degrees. Now negative 45 degrees, again, you don't know trig rotates like this. But what that is actually what we call a reference angle. Which goes right here. The real question here is, what is the degree of separation here? What is this angle? Well, a semicircle would be 180 degrees, and you have 75 of it known. So what we just learned is we have a central angle equal to 105 degrees. Now there's a little formula for arc length. There's two of them. There's the one you learned in geometry, and then there's the one I prefer to use. It says arc length is equal to r theta. Not v, theta. Now the only difference is that theta is a radian. So you take your little 105 degree angle, multiply it by pi over 180, and in a calculator, we'll just do the 105 over 180 and simplify. You got 7 over 12, put the pi back in place. 7 over 12, put the pi back in place. Now, what's the radius of this circle? It happens to be 1. If you do a half squared plus root 3 over 2 squared equals c squared, you'll get 1 over 4 plus 3 over 4 equal to c squared, and that's 1. So going back to this, the radius is 1, the angle of interest is 7 pi over 12, and anyways, it's choice B all day long. You'll have a little bit of an advantage knowing a little bit of trig. 33, the function f of x equals 3x plus 2 over 4x plus 3 has the domain all values of x such that x is not negative 3/4, because if x was negative 3/4, you would be dividing by 0. What is the value of its inverse? So we have done these things. Now, I'm going to do it two ways. I'm going to show you the first off by hand. This becomes x. X's become y's. We cross multiply. 4yx plus 3x equals 3y plus 2. We're resolving for y, so all y's on one side, everything else on the other. We factor because we can factor. And we divide out that 4x minus 3. And it's this one. What they've done is they've pulled the negativity from the top. That would make this, if you pull the negativity from this, that would become 3x. Maybe it's not that one. Minus 2. Oh no, it's not that one. I'm just an idiot. It's that one. They just move things around. That's how you do it by hand, and it's not even hard to do it by hand. It's going to take me longer to push button than a calculator. But I know that the line of symmetry is y equals x. So let's take your original equation here. I put y equals x in R2. Here comes the original rational expression. Kind of ugly looking. Here comes y equals x. Its inverse has to have symmetry with that. And you know, I think that B is the one. So let's type it in. Not everybody can see symmetry. the people who teach mathematics make a lot of assumptions, and they believe that everybody can do everything, and that's not necessarily true. I hope you can see it, but yeah, if you're halfway good at spatial reasoning, there she is. Everything has been inverted. Maybe you can see it. This guy was inverted, flipped. That guy was flipped. It's there. All right, if log base 2 of x equals log base x of 4, what is the set of possible values of x? Kind of interesting. Let's just use change of base. Ln x over ln 2 equals ln 4 over ln x. Room 6. See how many answers it's got. Oh, it has 2 answers. Notice it has 2 answers? I notice it has 2 answers. Second trace 5. Close, enter, enter. I got like 0.3752. Second trace 5. Enter, enter, enter. I got 2.665. So let's see which ones these are. I can tell you it's not the first one. I've typed root 2 so many times in the calculator in my life, I know it's not root 2. It's not that one. By elimination, it's going to be D. D is 2 raised to the root 2. Is that bigger decimal? And I think the other one is 1 over 2 root 2. Yeah, she is. Choice D. Each spring, Jessica, Sam, and Michael work together to score the TMTA high school math contest. If Jessica and Sam work together, they can finish scoring in 2 hours. If Jessica and Michael work together, they can finish in 90 minutes. Sam and Michael are the slowest. If they work together, it takes 3 hours to finish. How long would it take if all 3 of them work together? All right, so we have a couple of things we have to do. We have to find some individual times, then we have to put them all together. But Jay and Sam, let's say 120 minutes. J and M equals 90 minutes. Sam and Michael, Sam plus Michael equals 3 hours, which is 180 minutes. And we're just going to figure out what each individual person's time is. And then we're going to do another formula. And let's see here. Which one do I want to do here? I think I want to move this M over. So if I move that M over, I would have M equals 90 minus J. Sorry, I did that entirely wrong. Doesn't really matter which one you do. Well, J is 90 minus M. And then I can put that there. 90 minus M plus S equals 120. So negative M plus S is 30. And let's just move this M over. And we would have S equals 30 plus M, which I can then put there. That's how this stuff works. With like lots and lots of substitution. But if I put that there, I'd have 30 plus 2M, because M plus M is 2M, equals 180. 2M is 150. So M, whoever that is, Michael, is 75 minutes. And now that I know Michael, I know other things. If I put a 75 here, 90 minus 75 is 15, so J is 15. J and M makes 9, so J is 15. S is the slow one. S is 105. I have each person's individual time. Anyways, let's go back and use a formula. The way these things work, there's three of them. 1 over time 1 times x plus 1 over time 2 times x plus 1 over time 3 times x is 1. And x is the time together. So we're going to plug our stuff in. One of these people was 1 over 105. Don't forget the x. One of these people was 15. Don't forget the x. One of these people was 75. Don't forget the x. And you're still equal to 1. And then you solve this thing. The real question is, how would you clear that fraction? That's the real question. Like, what's the smallest thing? 105, 15, and 75 both enter. I don't have a clue what they all enter. And I don't really care to figure it out. But, you know, I don't have to either now, do I? I have a TI-84 in front of me. I'm running low, slow. I got 1 over 15. I have an X. I have 1 over 105, and I have an X. And I have a 1 over 75, and I have an X. And in Y2, I have a 1. And then I zoom 6. I'll have to look to the right because I chose to use minutes. Maybe I shouldn't have used minutes. But I'm going to go out 100 minutes. Maybe 50 minutes. Let's look at the answer choices. Okay, the longest thing up there is 130. It's not going to take them 2 hours and 10 minutes. It's probably 30. Unless I made a mistake. Huh. Did I make a mistake somewhere? Okay, let's just stop that for now.